Right, we're on. Today I quite literally have my Strixon and Cleveland hat on because Cleveland have new wedges out. These are the new CBZ wedges from Cleveland. The CBZ cavity back. The question is though, who are these wedges for? These wedges are designed for golfers who prefer the cavity back. However, they still demand the spin, the control and the feel of the tour wedge. Look at that. Cavity. Love that. We've got 56 with 14 degrees of bounce, 54 with 12 degrees of bounce. Both wedges are ZZ alloy. I have the 54 in full face, both in a KBS shaft. The full face there just sits absolutely tremendous behind the golf ball. It really frames the ball well. Quite a nice high toe as well for those shots from semi-rough. And the cavity for forgiveness, that's fantastic. When you think about your normal player's wedge, like my Wilson wedge, which is much more bladed, it's kind of harder to hit, isn't it? So getting away from that and more into the cavity back gives the forgiveness, gives the confidence in the feel. However, the feel in the face and the spin or the control that it offers is tour level. So you've got the workability or the playability of a wedge that is easier to hit. I'm not going as far as saying game improvement, but certainly much more forgiving. I'm assuming on full shots that will be the case. Yet you still have the feel and the precision that checked of the tour level wedge. So if you're looking for a wedge that performs and feels like the wedge that Shane Lowry plays with, but you want a little bit more forgiveness on a fuller shot, then this is it. This is the one. These are really getting a fair bit of check on that. Today this is wet, so it's, oh, you can see it trying to hold up. That's fantastic. That's the 54 full face. And of course I also have the 56, which is the standard face. 14 degrees of bounce on this, a little bit more loft. I'm going to open the face and get the feel for this. So when I look down on this compared to my bladed wedge, I wouldn't know. I don't think I would know. It's maybe a little bit thicker around the top edge, but I wouldn't really know that I'm playing a club here that has a cavity back on it compared to the wedge I'm used to. However, the bounce angle there, being as high as 14, is not what I'm used to. So you think about the cavity side of things, the player looking for the cavity is maybe not opening that face up as much to try and get that interaction. Saying that though, take all that back. Maybe he is, maybe he can. Okay, so we're out now around about 60 yards. I've got 54. It actually looks to me as though there's more loft than 54 on that, but I think it's because it's the full face. Slightly higher footprint, so it feels like, or looks like, there's a bit more loft on there. Obviously there's not. Obviously it's 54. And let's see how this feels. I'm looking for this to feel, because I've used bladed wedges all my life. So I'm looking for this to feel, well, more forgiving, obviously. I hope that's the case. What did I say? Almost 60 yards. Let's feel this. Yes, that it felt. Let me hit another one. It feels easy. It feels easy. It also feels, okay, that was actually a golf shot. It also feels soft. I don't know if that makes sense. That doesn't feel as clicky as my Wilson wedges. It feels much softer off the face. Almost like a sort of lighter feeling. A little bit more bouncy. That's the answer, a little bit more bouncy. You know, I've played golf, I did a Wilson video with my high launch irons to feel what they were like, and it kind of bounced a little bit. I don't feel as though this is going to dig into the turf nearly as much, which is a good thing. If you struggle with short game, that was not a good shot. That was me. Trying to play that a little bit left of. Stops quickly though, eh? So this is 12 degrees of bounce in a 54. The larger sole on it as well all feels a little bit different to me compared to what I'm used to. And I can totally get it. I understand what player it's designed for and who would buy this. So it's very, very good for them, for that level of golfer. I totally believe it. I guess as well for the better player, there's no harm in putting something like that in the bag. You know, your 50-degree wedge, where you are generally hitting full shots. I never hit a full shot with any wedge. That's a lie. I hit a full shot with my pitching wedge, which is part of my Tacoma set. When I then come to my 50, 54, 58, if I carry them all with me, I never hit a full shot with any of those. That's another lie I probably do with my 50. Never with a 54 or 58, and that's the truth. So now, sitting much more down in the rough, in the wet rough, 54, but I've got my full face, so I've got grooves up in the top part of the club here, so that's going to help obviously. That should help. I'm going to open the face a little bit and play a little shot here and see how this reacts from here. That was nice. It was really nice. Go in. That felt good. This is quite deep stuff, but I feel as though with the extra bounce on there, which I'm not used to, it glides through that, and when the ball's sitting higher up, that's going to go in. When the ball's sitting higher up or sitting further down the grass there, that the interaction's really, really good. There's a lot of grass there between my club and ball, but the profile of the club with its 12 degrees of bounce and the wider sole, I feel, is really helping me there. I've never experienced that before, I'm going to be honest. Oh yeah, they're all good. We're going to get one. We're going to get that one. Let's do one more from here. Let's oh no, I didn't like the way that just sat in there. A little bit to the right of the pin this time. Oh, that's good. I'm really, that's encouraging. I like that. 56 degree from the sand. Look at this little finish here. Can you see the sort of chrome ring round there? Everything else is kind of not matted out, but a different finish, but it's like buffed out, whereas this steel, that's cool. I like that. Tour Velvet 360, can't go wrong with that. Okay, 56 degree, this is more bounce again. This is more bounce than I would normally play, but that is designed obviously as part of the wedge to help the player who prefers the cavity more. Let's see how this interacts with the sand. Let's play a great bunker shot. Oh, it spins like mad. It spins like mad. This is not the full face, however, can you see the grooves, the milling on the toe of the club there? That's going to help. That felt really good. Go in. Oh, too much spin. I'm using the Z Star ball. I've gone full Strixon today. I've got 3 Z Stars and 3 Z Star Diamonds. Caught that one a bit heavier. Still spun. Is that ball or wedge? That is the combination between the two, I guess. That wasn't my best strike. Nipped that one. Look at the spin on it. Really good. I'm going to do one more. This is fun. It doesn't look, it's just a little bit thicker top line. That's the only thing that would make it look different. Just that top line there feels and looks a little bit thicker. No big deal though. So controllable. That is, the controls there, the forgiveness is there. There's more forgiveness obviously, but there's no loss of control. But by having that forgiveness, you don't lose any of that tour quality strike, that tour quality spin. There's no control loss whatsoever just because the back of its cavity. You'll still play and feel like Shane Lowry. So the CBZ loft options are 44 degrees to 60 degrees. The full face version comes in 50 to 60 degrees. Loads of options there. But as I mentioned before, it's designed for the player who prefers the cavity back, but still wants the spin and control of a tour level wedge. Now I'm not the player who wants the cavity back, but having said that, I'm very impressed with what I've seen and felt today. On the long shot, this is the 54. On the full shots from 50 to 60 yards, the fuller shots, it felt very soft. It felt quite light. It felt very forgiving. On the bunker shots with the 56, that was just so easy and so much spin on it, incredible. Cleveland grooves, or the wedges, Cleveland wedges have always spun well for me. As I mentioned before, it's the guy who prefers the cavity back. That's what it's designed for. I'm a blade guy when it comes to wedges. You can see the slight differences that are going on there. Slightly thicker sole on this, slightly thinner there, a little bit more interaction with this, less so with this. That's how I feel. But that's the player I am and that's what I'm used to, and that's why Cleveland have a range of wedges to match the player. And now on these last couple of shots, I'm actually going to try. Really good. It's trying so hard to check up. There's a bit of dew on the grass this morning and it's not the warmest. You can see it's trying its best to grip, which is great. I just need to carry that 1 yard further to get it onto the green. Which I will on this shot. Go in. Go in. Oh, it touched it. Touched the hole. So that's the new cavity back CBZ wedges from Cleveland. If you prefer a cavity back, I would thoroughly suggest you ask your pro for a little demo club and go out there and experience it. Even if you've never experienced the cavity back, I was very, very surprised at how well they performed. I expected something much more clunky, much more cumbersome. That wasn't the case. Cleveland, well done. Nice one. Quickly before I go, you know this channel's pretty relaxed, let's be honest with you. On the screen right now you'll see my book. Click that, the title, How to Play Golf Without Giving a F. That's very relaxed, quite punchy. I think you'll enjoy it. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.